We're excited that so many of you are here in person. Again, big thank you to Maranatha for hosting, and another big thank you to the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation for sponsoring and offsetting some of the cost of having Chris come to town to talk to us. So please, a round of applause for both of those entities. Again, I'm the chairman of Thrive, and this is our annual meeting. We're going to be changing it up a little bit this year. Normally we go through the really boring stuff first, and then we kick it over to the presenters, but in the interest of everybody's time and sanity, we're going to do those first. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to turn it over to Vicki Pratt, our president, and then we'll have the keynote speaker. But before I'm up here again, I want to let you know, if you have a purple or red dot on your badge, there are going to be a couple of different votes that we have to vote on. Predominantly procedural. We have some amendments to the bylaws to go through that the membership must vote on at its annual meeting. We also have the nomination of the slate of officers, which just have to be presented to you all. And then also we have new board of directors that are going to be taking effect later this year, which have to be voted on. So with that, I will now turn it over to Vicki Pratt to go over the annual highlights or 5-year highlights, and then I'll see you guys in another half hour, 45 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thanks, David. Good morning. It's really nice to see everybody here. It's nice to see everybody in a room at any time, right? I mean, we've done way too much of this virtually, and I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little tired of it. Let me see here. Does this one work? Oh, it does. Okay, good. So what we're going to do this morning, do I have a clicker, Julie, or does this just forward? There's my clicker. Never mind, thank you. Okay, what we're going to do this morning is just some quick highlights, because what I want to do is make sure that we've got a lot of time for you to hear from Chris Zarnick. So as David just said, today is a milestone. We are wrapping up our first 5 years. We started this organization, and Ben Waymeyer, waving here someplace in the room, filed articles of incorporation to create a 2-county public-private partnership in July of 2016. And we actually went forward and got that done in the fall of 2016, and we now do business as Thrive Economic Development. So I want to thank all the founding board members who are here in the room and those who aren't, and all who have served on the board for the past 5 years, and of course to our staff at Thrive ED for hanging in there, because we've been steering this ship and building it at the same time. So it's been an interesting ride. So we're going to do a quick overview of the highlights, and just to remind you, the full annual report is going to be available on our website tomorrow. So starting tomorrow, go to thrived.org and you can download the full annual report. And it worked. Terrific. So starting with the 2020-2021 opportunity pipeline, we had a very busy year. We managed 89 investment opportunities in this past reporting period, and as you can see on the slide, over 50% of those were manufacturing opportunities. Now that also includes our food and beverage sector, which, as many of you in the room who are in that sector know, as more and more people have been staying home and cooking, there have been more and more need for food in the pipeline, and lots of challenges for our food and beverage processors. And I say this all the time, there is no such thing as empty, good food grade space any place in the state of Wisconsin. There's just no such thing. So if you're thinking about building something, make it food grade, please, and put it near an interstate, because we'll fill it. We saw a lot of activity in transportation and warehousing and agribusiness, mixed use, housing, and also across our services sector in the past year. One of the things we do in Thrive Economic Development is work with and for our municipalities. And we work with and for them for a couple of reasons: to enhance and advance their competitiveness. We provide assistance in a lot of different ways. We've helped our communities start loan funds. We've provided guidance and counsel on land assembly for industrial park development or business park development. We've helped with engaging on incentive negotiations. We've brought developers to your communities that are a match for the types of development that you want in your communities. We've filled in for your local economic development support people when they've left you for other opportunities. We've helped you with the use of your TID dollars to attract more investment. We've engaged with your local team to get full responses to highly specific requests for information. Many of the municipalities in this room have been through some of these very tough RFP processes in the last several months. It's a team sport. It's a team effort. We've talked through solutions to development barriers in your community. That's what we're here for, to help our communities be the most competitive community that they can be, because when you win, we all win. And that's why we do regional economic development. So let's talk a little bit about business visits in the past year. This past year, we did 90 visits to existing businesses, both inside and outside of Jefferson and Dodge counties. And yeah, it was pandemic pandemonium for the whole year, but our activity levels were higher than any other year since our inception. We were out there and we were everywhere. Some of these visits actually needed to be done virtually. A lot of our food and beverage processors were not letting people into the facilities, so we did a lot of Zoom meetings as well, but that's okay. We reached out, we asked questions, and we worked through solutions. Most importantly, we took the time to thank our businesses for being here, for continuing to invest in our community, for continuing to be part of our community, because this is what makes it work. It's an ecosystem. You can see up there the breakdown by sector. The vast majority were both manufacturing and then food and beverage processors. We talked to lots of engineers and consultants who are driving business investments and bringing opportunities to our communities, developers and builders, just across the board. So our activity levels should equate to the outcomes that we all want, right? And so let's talk about outcomes. We counted 22 wins this past reporting year. Now, I need to say this right up front. Not every win is a press release. It's not a big splash in the newspaper. I know that's what everybody wants, and I know that's what everybody waits for. But a win can be as simple as helping a business secure its financing, helping a business find an ideal site or building for its next investment, connecting that business with entities that can provide incentives that they need in order to close the gap and make the investment. Sometimes it's as simple as helping them renegotiate a lease so they can stay where they are. And believe me, we've done a few of those. At the beginning of this endeavor, I told the founding board members that a startup economic development organization, which is what we are, generally takes a good 7 to 10 years to get established in a community. We're wrapping up our 5th year of operations, and we are seeing the fruits of our labor. Once that rhythm is truly established, when more local business owners know who to call, when more local municipal leaders know who to call and how we can help, those numbers are going to continue to rise, and that's why we continue to do all the outreach that we're doing. So a breakdown of the projects. Manufacturing sector is the big winner there. 8 of the projects were in the manufacturing sector, and that includes food and beverage processing. 5 were in the services sector, 3 were in the agribusiness sector, 2 were retail restaurants, 2 were mixed-use real estate projects, 1 was transportation and warehousing, and 1 was a straight-up housing project. So a couple of slides on the trends that we've seen. Now we have 5 years of data to go back and look over. So we launched with a 5-year plan that took us from 2017 through the end of 2021. And I think the graphs tell a story visually of how our work is impacting our area. So in terms of project numbers, opportunity pipeline, activity in each reporting year, year 1 was around 40 in that pipeline, and this year it was a very large number. We hovered in the mid-50s, years 2 and 3 shot up again in year 4, which was the beginning of the pandemic. And this year, it rose significantly. And remember, this is a funnel, right? So we do a lot of things to drive activity to the top of that funnel with the hope that there are going to be projects that are going to filter through, and we're going to have some of those wins at the end of it. That's what we do. Any of you who have a sales function in your business, you understand how that funnel works. It's no different in economic development. We do the very same thing. So the more activity in the pipeline, the greater the likelihood that we're going to have some wins. Sometimes these projects are years in the making, and we hope to be able to announce a couple of those very, very soon that have been years in the making, but we can't say it today. So, next, did it come up? Yeah. Website hits. So same with our business visit activity. We were able to add a staff person in 2019. That has really changed our trajectory, and I just want to do a shout out to Deb Reinbold for all her work in helping us raise those numbers and get out and do more business visits and do more connecting, right? Bring more developers to the community. Our website continues to be a huge driver for our pipeline activity. That is the place that people go to first. And again, our communities are being looked at all the time by site selectors, corporate real estate execs, businesses who currently are not in business in our two-county region. And when they're looking at our community, they're on the internet, they're looking up information. When you go in and you start Googling information on doing business in Dodge County or Jefferson County or choosing one of those municipalities, you're going to see thriveed.org pop up. That's a good thing. And it's going to drive you to a website that's full of information, has got lots of listings of commercial and industrial sites and buildings on it. We get those calls directly, and when you see our annual report, you will see that the vast majority of opportunities that have come into our pipeline are coming directly from the customer. The customer is finding us because we're promoting traffic to that website, and they're finding things on our website that make them pick up the phone and call. That's what we want to have happen. So I just want to give a huge shout out as well to Julie Over for all her work on that site, for her work to drive traffic to that site. She's done an amazing job. But again, keeping that website up to date is a huge endeavor. You can't just put it up once. It's changing every single day, and that's part of what we do here. So let's get to Chris. Many in the room today have been with us since the beginning, and every year we've used this annual meeting to bring relevant information to the community. Because being well informed about the challenges that are facing our businesses, the businesses across our region and the state and the nation, it really is job one for economic development. We need to be well informed. And part of our work too is to make sure that our community is well informed as to what are our challenges and what are our opportunities. So everywhere you look, you see we're hiring signs. As the region's economic development organization, we've seen this coming and we've been tracking it and we've been bringing it forward in a variety of different education sessions and series. We went back and we looked at what have been the themes on every year's annual meeting. 5 years ago, the theme was Help Wanted. How is Wisconsin addressing the workforce challenge? Anybody remember that? Yeah, 2018 was Demography is Destiny, and the whole thing was focused on how population trends are going to influence the economic vitality of any region, anywhere. We actually did a regional labor availability analysis in 2018, specifically for manufacturing, to take a look at what really is out there in terms of our labor basin and the interest of people in our labor basin to work in the manufacturing sector, and we brought that information forward. We've done, the need for speed, which was focused on transformations that are impacting our largest employers, and one of the top themes was talent shortages. And of course, last year was all about disaster-proofing your business, focusing on disruptions that were caused through the pandemic. So this year, we're back to winning the war for talent. And we're doing that because our businesses are continuing to struggle to fill vacancies, because talent drives innovation, which keeps businesses successful over time, because attracting talent is becoming the primary focus of community capacity building across America. So many of you are here today because your business is facing a talent shortage. It's touching all industry sectors. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this, and we can spend a lot of time going back and saying, well, how did we get here? But the real issue is, what can we do now to address the challenges? But as Chris will tell you, how did we get here? Well, let's just start with, there were 9.5 million fewer people in Gen X than there were in the baby boom generation. So that's kind of a great big, of course we were going to end up here. So that is why it's my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Chris Zarnick. Chris is an award-winning international speaker and author. He's known across the globe as the creator of an innovative approach to job searches. His most recent book, Winning the War for Talent, is a transformative approach to hiring, to team growth, and development. Chris spent 17 years working with people looking for jobs, or as he likes to say, with the fish. This taught him many things, including valuable insights on how those doing the fishing, the employers seeking help, were getting it wrong. Chris knows jobs. He knows how to help both job creators and job seekers find each other. Now, we're going to have a Q&A after the presentation, so I'm going to ask you to write your questions down, because the first 5 questions that are asked, you're going to get a free copy of his book, and you're also going to get another little goodie that we'll talk about later. So, Chris, welcome.
Good morning. Can you bring up my PowerPoint? No, can you bring up my PowerPoint on the screen?
Technical assistance, please. That's ours. That's yours.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good? Here we go. He's got it.
All good, thank you.
You got it?
Well, that was anticlimactic, wasn't it? I'm feeling triggered. I am. If I hear one more employer say that young people don't want to work anymore, if I hear one more person say that all those young people went to school for their French art degree and now they're living in their parents' basement on their couch delivering pizzas to each other, and nobody wants to work with their hands, and nobody wants to work with shifts, and nobody wants to actually show up, and everybody wants to work virtually, I'm going to come out of my shoes. Stop it. You are surrounded in a place where you have students. Where are my students? Raise your hand. Students, raise your hand, please. If you want to know if people want your jobs, go ask them. Stop with the CNN headlines. Stop with the Fox News headlines. Do you realize that all those headlines about the fact that nobody wants to work and everybody's lazy and everybody's sitting back and working off PPP loans and unemployment loans, none of that helps you. It is not the world's fault you do not have employees. You do not have a right to employees. You have a right to compete for employees. The trouble is, as you go fishing today, you would call yourself a good recruiter. I would disagree. I mean, you can't call yourself a good fisherman if the fish jump in the boat for you. Got it? For 40 years, you put out a job ad on the outside of your building. You put it on Monster, you put it on Indeed, you put it in the newspaper 25 years ago when I was looking, and a line formed. And now when that doesn't happen, you go, see, it's the world's fault. Can't be my fault. Here's my question for you. You want to take some notes this morning? Let me give you some notes to start with. Number 1, are you working as hard to find your next employee as you are your next customer? Let me give you the answer. No. Let's not get it. I'm a little bit much. I got it. But the first thing, listen, I'm going to spend 230 days on the road this year. I serve as a subject matter expert on this topic for 38,000 CEOs across the country. I'm going to do this presentation some number like 100 times this year. And the first message I got to get to the business owners is that the people you are trying to find are sitting right next to you, and you're paying more attention to what the television news headlines are saying than you are actually talking to people you want to come work for you. Let me give you a hint. News headlines are designed to sell laundry detergent. They're supposed to be scary. They're supposed to be overwhelming. Blaming the world for the fact that you don't have doesn't help you. It simply puts you farther behind everyone else in this chase for talent. It is true. There aren't enough breathing human beings in America to fill all of your jobs. It is absolutely a mathematical certainty, and has been for the last 40 years, that in order for him to win, he's got to lose. First time in business history. But before I go too much farther, let me just ask you a question. Think about these statements that you're making. Nobody wants to come work for me anymore. Nobody wants to work for me anymore. Nobody wants to come to work for my wages. Take for a second and just replace the word worker with customer. What would you do? My customers don't want to buy from me anymore. What would you do? My customers don't want to buy my products and services at the price and the offering that I'm giving. What would you do? My customers don't come to buy from me because they don't know I exist. What would you do? You got to stop trying to make this hard. Please stop trying to make this hard. You have competed your entire life for customers. And now you have to compete for employees, and you lose your minds like you don't know what to do. I got it. It was easy for 40 years. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. But HR people will tell me all the time, they'll be like, listen, I've always been a good recruiter. I don't think so. Like you can call yourself a good resume screener. You can call yourself a good interviewer. You can call yourself a good job offerer. But when you, listen, if I was selling gold for $1 an ounce and I set up a table and a line formed, you wouldn't call me a good gold salesperson, right? So with that, I want to lean into what do you do today, right? We forever have had the opportunity to choose because people needed our work, our money, and our benefits more than we needed them. Listen, I was born without a filter. I'd apologize, but I'm not that sorry. People have always needed our money and our job and our benefits more than we needed that person. How do I know that? Here's some statistics for you. Since 1993, 91% of all resumes in America go completely unresponded to. Oh, I don't mean rejected. I mean literally unresponded to. You're mad, by the way, that where people come and they ghost you, right? What's ghosting? Young lady, what's ghosting? Do you know what that is? Yeah. Go ahead. You should have seen her face. If you couldn't see her face, get a picture of that. Tell me what ghosting is, please.
It's when you reach out to somebody and you don't hear anything back.
That's really frustrating, right? Don't be too mad. You've been doing it to my job seekers for the last 20 years. Tell me you got back to everybody who applied. Tell me you got back in the last 10 years to everybody who came to you, told you that they didn't get the job, why they didn't get the job, what skills and abilities they didn't have, who got the job, where they can get the skills and abilities, what other opportunities are inside your organization and that they should come back to you when they get those. Tell me you did that for the last 10 years. You've been ghosting my job seekers for decades. A little uncomfortable? Got it. Name one other relationship in your life where you create relationships by completely ignoring people 93% of the time. Listen, I'm the Lorax. I speak for the workers. I don't speak for the trees. I spent from 2000 to 2017 as probably one of the best known job search gurus across the country. I've worked with 3,000 mid-career professionals face-to-face across the nation. My work has been adopted by the United States Congress as a job search process in human search engine. Tens of thousands of people have taken my online class to figure out what to do for a living and how to find it. I'm telling you, it's not their fault. You're blaming a 22-year-old because they can't find you in a series of 27,000 different organizations that could hire them within 30 miles of this building. By the way, did you know that that's true? There are 27,000 hiring organizations within 30 miles of this building. Now here's a question for you. You live in this world, you network in this world, you're a business leader in this world. How many of those 27,000 could you name? And now you're going to blame a 22-year-old because they can't pick that needle out of a haystack. Listen, I get it. Your business is in your mind. It fills your mind. Your email has your business name in it. Your check has your business name on it. You live in the bubble of your business. You cannot believe people do not know that it exists. I'm here to tell you the vast majority of the people in this room with a map couldn't find your place. And you're somehow shocked that people aren't running to find you. So again, go back to the customer thing, right? I'm just telling you, if you want to start at the very beginning, all I want you to do is stop saying the word applicant or worker or employee and start using the word customer. You have been competing for customers your entire life. So let's talk about how we do the same thing with those kind of people. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I don't have to convince you that there's a shortage. What I have to convince you is what's going on and how long it's going to last. So this is super easy math. I'm a binary guy, by the way. Born without a filter and binary, which also means single. That's awesome. So, it's okay. Uncomfortable laughter is totally welcomed here. There's no way this couldn't happen. It's a mathematical certainty for 40 years that this was coming. Which makes me amazed by the time, as somebody who's been in business my entire life, that we measure everything from our vendors. We measure the number of million lineal square feet of raw materials we get, the lead time for the trucking, the logistics, and we didn't pay attention to the fact that there's just 9.5 million less people in the market. There's 75.4 million baby boomer generations who are retiring at 10,000 a day, but it's more than that because last year 10,000 a day were going to retire, but we had this little thing called the pandemic. You may have heard of it. Anyway, so about a third of those people who were going to retire last year didn't. They held on till the stock market recovered. Now the stock market has recovered. So now we have some 12 to 13,000 baby boomers retiring every single day. And the sucking sound you hear when you post a job ad is 65.9 million people trying to fill the roles of 75.4 million people. I don't know how to make this difficult for you. It is a mathematical certainty that some of you are going to lose. I can't make everybody win. I can make you win. If you just do the work, if you just focus on it, if you just focus on getting customers and building personas of customers the same way that you build the persona of the people or of employees as you do for customers, I can get you there. Where are my student friends? You guys are my student friends, right? Well, now he's coming right at me. These two young ladies have no idea who you are. They're bright. They're terrible. Really, you could name every one of the companies in the room. That's fantastic. I'll leave you alone now. You can have it. Is the cinnamon roll good? Oh, wait, I'm off topic probably. Okay, so those two young ladies who are desperate after they leave this place to identify a great place to work with great pay, great benefits, problems that they need to solve, things that fit their personality type, their skills, their abilities, who are in their geographical radius, they're going to leave this place with virtually zero idea of where to go to work. Did you? Listen, maybe this university is different than most. I hope it is. It's an amazing, fantastic facility, by the way. Whoever runs this facility, hooray, oh my gosh. I'm in a lot of places, but oh my gosh. The trouble is, we're going to teach them English, we're going to teach them a little bit of Latin, we're going to teach them a little bit about civics, and we're not going to teach them the one thing that's the most important thing in their life. Who are you? What's your personality type? Where do you belong in the world? What problems do you want to solve? Who has those problems, and how do I find that employer? It is, I'm going to pick on you because you're right there. Well, and you're investors, so that's good. It's your job to go to them, which is different, right? They always came to us. I grew up in the 80s. Listen, I started sweeping the floor in a paper mill. I'm not some white-collared schmuck from New York. I'm not. I don't come from the ivory tower. That's okay. My New York friends are, right? I'm not. Some of them are very nice. I started sweeping the floor in a paper mill in Appleton, Wisconsin. I've lived there my entire life. I am you. And I'm here to tell you, you have great jobs, there's great pay and great benefits. You do not have, so let me just lean into something here. You got to stop with the money stuff. Stop with trying to be the highest paid employer out there. Stop making the excuse that we don't have people because you're not the highest paid employer. Let's follow some logic here. If it were true that people always went to the highest pay rates, and you are currently not the highest paid employer, then by this time, all of your employees would have left. They have not. Ask them why they stay. Part of the thing you're going to get in the book and in the handout is a sheet of questions that I have people to build a persona of the kind of people we need to anticipate. If you're taking notes, the first thing you got to do is figure out who needs your job. Who needs your products and services? That's easy. You figured it out years ago, right? You don't go knocking door to door if you sell, for General Electric, if you sell large jet engines, you don't go knocking door to door and say, hey, do you need a jet engine? No, do you know anybody who does? Okay, no, if you hear of anybody who needs a jet engine, let me know. You don't do that. You build a model of what company, what SIC code, what geographical radius, what's their industry, what's their product, what's their service, what problems do they have, why do they buy from you, is it logistics, is it pricing, is it delivery, is it quality, is it meeting government guidelines, whatever that thing is. You build a model of them and then you go find more of them, right? Some of you aren't shaking your heads, so let me tell you what you should be doing. Of course you have. So why aren't you doing it for employees? Listen, part of it's funny, right? I want you to have fun. I want to entertain you. But I also want to lovingly just slap you on the back and say, what are you doing? The labor participation rate is the rate at which people in the United States choose to go to work. From 1945 to 2008, it was a solid 68%. 68% of all the people who were mentally and physically able to go to work went to work more than 25 hours a week. That's the Department of Labor's statistically definition of participation rate. Today's rate is 63. Actually, this month's rate was 61.6%. And you're like, oh, see, no, they don't want to work. See, I told you, I knew it. Everybody went back in their basement and they want to work. That statistic has been accurate since 2009. Nothing to do with the pandemic. 5% of not only do we have 9.5 million less people, but 5% of the population are choosing not to go to work. Now again, before you leap on all of those newspaper headlines about why people are lazy and nobody wants to work, you're doing it. My baby boomer friends here, I'm a baby boomer, I'm 59 years old, we're the problem. You get that, right? No, you don't. Let me explain this to you. The baby boomers have accumulated $59 trillion in assets. The largest generation with the most people with the most assets ever. Where do you think it's going as we die? Oh, we're giving it to our kids and they don't have to work. Yup. You having a moment here? Stop with the people are lazy. Stop with the young people don't want to work. Stop with the fact that if nobody wants to work with their hands anymore, how come you got 27 of them doing it today, right now, while you're at this place? I'll stop beating up on you now and give you some tools. But you can't call yourself a good fisherman if the fish jump in the boat for you. So stop thinking that what you did in the past is actual recruiting. It's not. You were order takers. Fine, welcome to the club. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not mad at you. I'm kind of mad with you. I did it too. I worked with the job seekers for 17 years before I ever came on this side of the bench, and I'm here to tell you that they happily ran to you. How do I describe my work? So I would describe it in two metaphors. One of them is fishing. I'm not a good fisherman. I'm not. When I go fishing, the fish are safe. Nothing bad will happen to the fish. But I do know about fishing, and I do know that if I told my fishing buddies that I was going to fish for trout, and I went fishing for trout by dropping a random lure at a random lake at a random time of day, at a random depth, in a random place in the lake, in a random time of year, and I didn't catch trout and complained about the fact that the trout didn't want to eat my lure, they would laugh at me. So when you put out your now hiring sign, the one that looks just like everybody else's, by the way, I always wonder why somebody puts, like, now hiring. Well, no kidding. And the sun came up this morning and water is wet, and all, right? Like, why in the world do we think that's an actual effort? Can you imagine for a moment if you were having trouble finding new customers and you put a big sign out on your front lawn that said, now selling? Okay, we'll just sit and wait for people to line up to buy our products and services. You could even take a now selling sign and put it on the largest website for your association to say, well, see, now I've put it out on the internet. Absolutely everybody can see it, and so I'll just sit back and wait for the customers to come. If you did that, your friends would laugh at you. We do it because it's all we know how to do. Until today. Today, hopefully, is a very good day. Worse yet, if you go fishing in a very inefficient way, we would drag a net across the lake and gather up all the fish and then just sit on the shore and throw back all the ones that aren't trout. Doesn't that sound, where are my HR friends in the room? Any HR friends in the room or resume screening friends in the room, right? Doesn't that look like what you're doing? You're getting all these resumes in here, right? And you're like, I can't believe they even applied. Like, wait a second, they have some other company's name on the resume. Like, why are they even, did they even read the job ad? That's what happens when you drag a net across the lake and randomly just think it's going to be easy. You don't drag a net across the lake looking for customers. So what we do is we have to understand the fish. I think one of the most important things about my work is that for 17 years before I come to you this morning, I lived with the fish. They're not coming to you because they don't love you. They're not coming, it's not that they don't think you're a good place. It's not that they don't like your money. It's not that, number one, 70%, please write this down, 70% of my job seekers over 17 years aren't coming to you because they've never heard of your company. Literally couldn't find you with a map and a gun to their head. They are unable. 2 words that are capitalized in every book that I write, unwilling and unable. When anybody says, there's my friends over there. How is he going to find him? What process currently exists for, what's your name, sir? Joseph, who wants to do work, right? You're coming to school because you want to get a good job and you want to solve problems and you want to be part of an organization and you want to advance, but not only for you, but you want to grow the organization, you want to be with people, you want to be part of a culture, right? All that kind of is sitting here waiting for you. How is he going to find you? What process currently exists for him to find you? I don't know your business. I'm just picking on you because you got great hair. And I have hair envy. Like anybody with great hair, like stop it. He looks like he walked off the cover of GQ for gosh sake. Seriously. But I mean, okay, funny, right? But seriously, like have a moment with me in this moment. How is Joseph going to find you? Unless you find him. He doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have your 50 years of experience. He doesn't know how to network. He doesn't know who's out there. He doesn't know how to, what's that? You're 30 twice? That's awesome. No, good for you. Don't look a day over 70. That's awesome, yeah. This whole table of young men are sitting here going, hope we get, they're like, I got good grades, all this stuff. Now what happens? Does the world come find me, or do I go find them, or do I just look online and find a job ad, and do I just apply to a person I've never met at a company I've never heard of for a job I've never done, and then cross my fingers and hope? And by the way, 93% of your resumes and cover letters, by the way, will be completely unresponded to. It's not that they don't love you anymore, by the way. It's because we have treated job seekers terribly for the last 30 years. So if you don't build that bridge, how is he going to find you? He can't. Let me give you a statistic that's going to help you here. For those of you who are having a moment with me, I want to give you one easy way to solve this problem. Number one, give it a number. What I'd like you to do right now, if you would please, is write down the name of one position that you are currently having trouble filling or keeping filled. I'm not really serious. Right? You came here to get information. This is the first step of this information. Please write it down. What is the name of one position in your organization that you are currently having trouble filling or keeping filled? Now here's my question for you after you write that down. What is the cost of having that position open for a year? You don't know, do you? Now, you know the cost of not having customers, and you know the cost of producing your products and your services. You know the cost of your building. You know the cost of insurance. You know all that other stuff. Why don't you know the cost of not having an employee? I was at a company yesterday. They have 20 open positions. It's an amazing, fantastic manufacturing place about 70 miles from here. They said, we have 20 open positions. I said, well, what is the cost of having an open position on your manufacturing floor? They say it's currently $217,000 a year because they did, the cost of sales and all the other stuff. I said, great. So that means you have a $4 million problem. Are you investing $4 million in fixing it? No. Why not? If you had a $4 million safety issue, you'd spend money to fix it and time to fix it, wouldn't you? If you had a $4 million sales deficit, because we don't, what I want to encourage you to do is make a line on your P&L, because P&Ls guide us. We do what the P&L tells us to do. We currently have 20 open positions. You figure out the cost of every open position. It's $45,000 to $90,000 to $120,000 a year, and you start treating it like a $3 million problem, not the fact that it's the world's fault, nobody wants to come to see you, and all the students want to work from home part-time, deliver pizzas, teach. Stop it. Now, end caps in a grocery store are amazing things. I'm good? All right. End caps in grocery stores are amazing things. Before I wrote that book, Winning the War for Talent, 5 of you are going to walk away with it today. It's on it's on Indeed. No, it's not. It's on Amazon. It's on Audible, blah, 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 blah. But I studied billion-dollar companies for a year before I wrote that book. How do they sell us everything? Shoes and carpet and glasses and cruise lines, whether it was Disney, Princess Cruise Lines, whether it was General Motors, General Mills, or General Dynamics. I figured, why can't we sell our jobs the same way that we sell our products and services? I think we probably should. And what I learned is that the most effective model for you to understand this process is the end cap in a grocery store. Do any of you have on your key ring that little tab with the barcode on it that you scan to get 3% off your purchase? Anybody got that? You do realize it's not for you, right? You do realize it has nothing to do with you, right? They are collecting metadata on you and all the other shoppers to understand exactly how much time you spend in the store, whether you come in on a Tuesday night or a Saturday morning. If you buy tomato soup, you'll also buy cheese, and you'll also buy bread, so you can have grilled cheese sandwiches, just like your mom made you when you came in from being out in the cold on a winter day. They know, by the way, that if you look at every grocery store, I don't know your grocery store, I've never been to your grocery store. I can tell you in your grocery store, halfway through it, there's a bin of toys for 3 to 5-year-olds. Why would a grocery store have a bin with toys for 3 to 5? Why are we selling toys in a grocery store? Anybody have a thought? Because kids get what? Somebody say it. They get bored. They get ornery. They get jittery. And what I learned is that these places know that if you don't buy that child a toy to settle it down, you will leave 18 minutes earlier, and you will spend $42 less than you would have if the child was quiet. And by the way, they're going to mark up the toy 300% anyway. Grocery stores know the fish, and by the way, you are the fish. What do you know about your current employees? Listen, you have great employees. You just have no idea how you got them. Right? Somebody nod your head or smile or tell me I'm full of, right? Tell me that you can tell me for every employee in your organization what job they had before they came to you, what changed in their life that made that job not viable anymore, how they find your organization, what third party got involved to introduce them to your organization, what changes had to happen inside. Were they going? Was it for benefits? Was it for pay? Why did they choose you? Do you know any of that? You're about to, by the way. This list that you're going to get is the ability to create a persona based on market research inside your own organization. I don't want you to do listen, I'm not a theory guy. Theory is lost on me. I'm a binary guy. I like on and off. I like zeros and ones. I like yes and no. I love light switches. Dimmer switches confuse me. If you ask these questions of your current employees, you don't have to guess. You don't have to hire some amazing marketing firm to come up with a brand new website and a brand new... This will tell you everything you need to know because you got those great employees. You just have no idea how you got them. You caught the fish. You just have no idea what time of day, what lake, what lure, and why they bid on yours. By the way, the whole random lake and a random depth at a random time of day is hilarious in Wisconsin. By the way, thank you for bringing me back to Wisconsin. I grew up in Appleton. It's really nice to sleep in my own bed once in a few hundred days, so thank you. Why is a random lure at a random lake funny in Wisconsin? Because there is a random lake, right? That joke doesn't play in Atlanta at all. End caps in a grocery store, nope. So here's another thing for you. If you know the 4 criteria that people have when they buy, you can sell them anything. This is where you start writing. The 4 criteria for my job seekers, my 20,000 job seekers over 17 years. Number 1, geographical radius. It has to be within it has to be within 24 minutes. 24 minutes of their home. Now, in Watertown, 24 minutes means 24 miles. In Los Angeles, it means 8. 24 minutes is how far people will drive on an extended basis. Oh, they'll drive longer for about 13 months, but I guarantee you when you hire somebody from 24 minutes away or more, eventually you're making them choose between their family and your job. The smart ones choose their family, the dumb ones don't have a family to go home to. Number 2, a respectful wage. What is a respectful wage? Stop with the, hey, we're not the highest paying place, right? A respectful wage is a wage that is in the 45th to the 60th percentile of the current reigning wage for similar jobs. Your Chamber of Commerce can help you here. Salary.com can help you here. As long as you're the 45th to the 60th percentile of wage, you are fine. Number 3, it has to be work that fits their personality type. For my friends here, for my new college friends, let me give you a gift, okay? From Uncle Chris, Grandpa Chris. There's a site called 16personalities.com. Would you go to it, please? 16, the number 16. For all the students, by the way, I teach this all across the country, so this is a freebie. 16personalities.com is a free Myers-Briggs knockoff. Myers-Briggs is a personality type research project that is 85 years in length. It's 500 million people, right? So it's pretty reliable, right? It's good. It's anecdotal evidence, but it's anecdotal evidence over 500 million people. If you take that test, it's going to give you a 4-letter designation. That 4-letter designation, every one of those 4-letter designations, if you search it on Google, will have 1,000 pages about best and worst jobs for you, the people you should date, the people you should never date, the places you should go to school, the kind of problems you should solve, the cultures you're looking for, whether you should be in a desk or out in the world, whether you're introverted. All of it's there. Please, please go to it. The only way you find him is that you realize that your personality type is completely in alignment with the problems he has to solve. The work, the environment, the culture he has is exactly where you want to be. If not, what are we doing? If he doesn't do that, if my friend Joseph doesn't do that, what's he doing? He's literally sending, he looks online, he looks at the job ads, he sees 4 words that seems like he could Gumby a resume around. So Gumby is a character, like it's a, you can YouTube it, okay? So it's very flexible. See, sometimes that just doesn't work. So, but he saw 4 words in a job ad. He didn't know your company. He didn't do any research on your company. Nobody taught him. Nobody in high school taught him how to do that. Nobody in college taught him how to do that. He's not going to research your company. He saw 4 words inside there, and he put together a resume, and he sent it off to a person he never met at a company he's never heard of for a job he's never done, cross his fingers that it's a decent place to work, knowing full well that 93% of the time nobody's even going to ever get back to him. So for my companies out here, one of the things that you're going to do here is you're going to give 16 personality types to every one of your employees as part of the persona. Guys, it's an 85-year research project over 500 million people. There's probably something to it. For anyone in this room, I've been teaching it for 20 years. Anyone in this room, I can ask you 4 questions. If you answer honestly, I can tell you how you spend your money, how you go on vacation, and a lot about the car you drive. If you want to test me afterwards, knock yourself out. If you know that, Joseph, you can find him. If you know that, you can find Joseph. You know why? Please write this down. for young people, and I mean young people, 18 to 27 years old, you know, all the ones that you are desperately looking for so they can build a 30-year career in your organization, the best indicator of who they are is not their job, it is not their degree, it is their hobbies. Let me say it again. The best indication of who somebody is, especially from 18 to 27 years old, is not their degree. Why? Because when we chose our degree at 18 years old, what did we do? Well, I don't know what I really want to do. I guess, okay, business, right? Business. I don't know what it means. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I had to choose one, right? Didn't you guys, right? Right? Business. But their hobbies are what they do when they can do whatever they want. Their hobbies are how they spend their time. Their hobbies is how they spend their money. Here's a fascinating thing, by the way. In this manufacturing plant that I was just in, it was a steel, aluminum manufacturing kind of place. They realized when they did this survey that the very best personality type for people running their $1 million presses were people who loved video games. By the way, the students just perked up. Now, let me walk you through this, and this is what you will do when you create this model. They said, well, we want people who get along together and who really work together and work in teams. I said, really? Honestly? Tell me what their life is like. Well, they go in, and they run a machine, and they use like they manipulate like a remote, and they program something, and they work alone all day long. They solve problems along the ways because they're the machine operator. And then they go home. I said, and so you're telling me what you're looking for is outgoing people who are people who want to interact with people all day long, and you're going to put them in a cell. Now, a cell does not mean a cell like a prison cell. It's a manufacturing term, a manufacturing cell, right? An individual place, one machine, one person is a cell of manufacturing. What we determined is that their very best hobbies were video games. So imagine this job ad. If you love video games, you'll love working here. That's a job ad. Your job ad, by the way, I love you all, but your job ads are terrible. I don't know you, right? It's a little dramatic. But have you ever looked at your job ad? You want to exercise. I can't do it to you today because it'll take you like 5 minutes, and I only have 4 minutes left. But have you ever gone to your job ad and tried to find, you want to find out why you're not getting applicants? Try to find your job ad. Go to Monster and Indeed, try to find your job without using the name of your company. Try it once. Well, we've got a job ad out there. Everybody knows we exist. You'll find yourself on the fourth page, the fifth thing down, and when you compare it to every other employer in the same market, you look exactly the same. You are vanilla ice cream in a vanilla ice cream aisle where all the labels look the same, all the cartons are the same size, all the nutritional value is the same. If we were faced with that aisle of vanilla ice cream at the grocery store, we would choose the one that costs the least, right? If all of the cartons look the same. So when you're mad, then my job seekers choose it based on the highest wage. It's all you're giving them. Machine operator, must have experience, will train to suit, blah, 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 and then an hourly rate. Go compare your job to the two job ads on Monster Indeed above yours and below yours, and then put yourself in the mindset of a 22-year-old and see if you'd actually respond to it. You are making life impossible for my friend Joseph. Joseph, you get a book, by the way, just so you know, because I'm really like you've been helpful. You didn't volunteer. You were voluntold, by the way. You'll learn about that in business. There's volunteered, and there's voluntold. You were voluntold, so let's make sure we give Joseph a book, would you? All right. Oh my gosh, so much. Last thing I'm going to leave you with. Stop trying to sell your job ad in the ad. We're not selling the job in the job ad. You're selling the opportunity to have a first conversation. Okay, that's really nice, Chris, but if that were true, it would be in my own world. I would see it in different parts of the world. Okay, imagine dating by walking up to somebody and saying, say, how many kids do you want to have? No, you say hi, right? You say, hey, I see you carry a tennis racket. Do you play? Right? Do you want to have a cup of coffee? I find you interesting. I think we share some of the same ideas, blah, 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 blah. But you put a job ad out there and basically are telling My friend Joseph, who's never seen you, never seen your organization, has no idea if you're a good or bad place to work, has never been inside your organization, couldn't find it on a map. You're saying, we're going to pay you this much, and do you want to commit the next 10 years, 2,080 hours a year for the next 10 years to us? If yes, apply. Stop it. Last thing I'm going to tell you, in your job ad, and a lot of it's in the book, and I hope that you circulate the book, right? I want to give this to you, I really do. Please write this down. Good recruiting is about creating questions, not answering them. Please write this down. You're making a huge mistake by telling my job seekers everything they need to know to compare your job with every other job on that board. That's not what Nike does. Nike says, just do it. Nike's just do it doesn't tell you anything about their products, their service, their pricing, their quality, and their place in the competitive marketplace. It gets you to ask a predictable question that you can only answer by interacting with Nike in some way. Just do it. What should I be doing? Well, Nike says, we'd love to show you. But in order to show you, you're going to have to come into our stores, talk to somebody who's bought from Nike, or go online. McDonald's, I'm loving it, doesn't tell you anything about their products, their services, their pricing, or the cleanliness of their bathrooms. You're saying, I'm loving it. Well, what are people loving there? Well, we'd love to show you, but in order to show you, you're going to have to come in and talk to us. Walmart, save money, live better? You got to be kidding me. Every time I've tried to live better in my life, I had to spend more. How can I save money and live better? Walmart says, we'd love to show you. But in order for us to show you, you got to interact with us. Start recruiting. So create a number. What does it cost you to have that job open? Are you committing time and effort that's respectful of that? Number 2, ask these questions of employees and create a persona of who you're trying to go after. You can't write any advertising until you decide who you're trying to go after. And lastly, write job ads that create questions that people can only answer by interacting with Joseph's needs in mind. And you can fundamentally change the way you try to go to win the war for talent. Guys, thank you very much for this morning.
We're going to do Q&A.
Okay.
So I hope you wrote some questions down, yeah? Because the first 5 people who ask questions, we've got mics running around here, so the first 5 people who ask questions are going to get a copy of the book. In the book is the question list that Chris has been holding up. That question list will be on our website, and you'll be able to go there and download it later, hopefully later today, but certainly by tomorrow. Sure. So let's start.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, totally great.
You're talking about losing 10 to 12,000 baby boomers daily, I think you said?
In America.
What are we doing to keep those guys? I mean, those are the fish jumping out of the boat. We've got years of talent. We've got years and years of tribal knowledge. Why aren't we retaining those people? Those people still want to work, and people I've talked to.
Yeah, you've got an amazing question. People my age do not want to one day be valuable parts of your organization and the next day sit in a rocking chair. That's like a false vision that we have seen in movies and TV. It's not real. It's not real. You know it's not real, right? But what we do is we offer, most people, by the way, most people have always had this internal desire to be consultants. Right? The vast majority of people, no, I'm really serious, even the person who has worked 30 years as a rewinder operator has always dreamed about having their own business or doing something. So you say to that person, listen, we're going to pay you double your hourly rate for 10 hours a week to give all the knowledge that you have inside our organization for the next 6 months. Right? We allow them to be consultants because it makes them feel special, it makes them feel unique, and we got to download all that knowledge. But your point, I don't have to make a whole lot more of your point, which is your people really don't want to leave. They just don't know what to do. They have been given their whole life this idea that work is an on and off switch. I'm working full time and I'm not. And so do you have a program inside your organization? Right? There are programs right now, there are companies, I just read an article on it last night, where companies are breaking up jobs and offering it to retired people in 4-hour blocks. Okay, so if it's a money decision for them, you don't want them. If they're, listen, I love you all. Stop with the money thing. You can't control it. What you're asking me is, how do I get people to want less money and not want to go after? Stop. Most people, by the way, that you want to give their tribal knowledge, here's what I know about job seekers over 50. I've worked with 3,000 of them. Number one, do I make a difference in the world? Number two, will anybody miss me when I'm gone? The way we approach them is important. The knowledge you have is invaluable. If you say, well, we're going to try and pay you and bribe you to come off of retirement, who would ever do that? No, I worked this my whole life. You're not going to bribe me. But if you say, we need you, we need your knowledge. Here's Joseph, right? He's coming in the door. He's wide-eyed. He's got all kind of dreams and all those things, but you have none of your knowledge. Joseph needs you, so we're going to create something called a battle buddy, right? Battle buddies are something from the military, by the way, that the very first thing we do with new recruits is we attach them to somebody who has some knowledge or experience that helps them get through the experience together. But first of all, do you have to answer your question is, do you have a process today to allow your people to do something other than just retire? If not, stop asking the question, go build a model. I love your question. I'm not ragging at you. I'm not really not. It's a fantastic question, but just like, shouldn't somebody do something about this? And I'm like, you're a business owner. You've been doing it your whole life. You've adapted to customers your entire life. You've solved their problems their whole life. You've been creative your entire life. Start treating your employees like customers. Great question. Thank you.
And by the way, once they reach full retirement age, they don't have that cap anymore, so they can earn as much as they want, which is a good thing.
Another question over here.
So when in a society where you're actually getting paid not to work with unemployment being so high, I know you said it's not always about the money, but to get paid not to work to a lot of people sounds nice. How do businesses combat that?
Can I just blow this up for a second? On September 1st, enhanced unemployment benefits ended for everyone, all right? September 1st came and went, right? All the news articles said what? People on the sidelines not working, and you just wait till September 1st and the world's going to change. It's false. It's false. Why? The evidence is right there. We're 7 weeks later, and nothing's changed. The number of people going to work or choosing to go to work or looking to go to work has changed by 0.1% across the nation. So that's what I'm telling you. I love your question, by the way. It's a fantastic question. Oh, and by the way, as long as I'm here, nobody complained about PPP loans, did they? Money from the government is a horrible way to screw up the market economy, blah, blah, blah. Do you know that if the government didn't do PPP loans, we wouldn't have this problem with talent? Do you know why? Because in a normal market environment, tens of thousands of businesses would have gone out of business and we would have had plenty of people. So when you complain about unemployment, you best in the next phrase be complaining about the PPP loans. But I don't really see a lot of businesses doing that. So first of all, I love your question. Thank you. What's your name, sir? It's a genuine question, but I want you to just compare it to the evidence. What is the evidence? So truth matters. Facts matter. I'm apolitical. I'm politically agnostic, right? I don't know if I can believe anything anyone says anymore, and so I just make my decisions based on the facts. If you do the research, if you had to bet money to say, is unemployment the reason people aren't going to work, in an environment where 7 weeks later, advanced or enhanced unemployment has ended and it hasn't changed, where would you bet your money? That wasn't the reason. Those headlines are designed to sell dishwashing soap. You guys get that, right? One of the most interesting things about this, and I'll move on just a second. One of the most interesting things I learned in advertising that will change the way you watch TV forever is, do you realize the only reason shows exist is to keep you in your seat from one commercial to the next? Absolutely. Think about this for a second. No, really have a moment with me here. We think, oh, it's the Brady Bunch, it's Squid Game, whatever that thing is. None of those are money-making adventures. The only money-making venture are the advertisements. The only reason all of those shows exist. So they have to be titillating, right? They have to get you excited. They have to get you fired up in the chair. They got to tell you those things. And listen, I don't care if it's CNN, I don't care if it's Fox, I don't care who it is. It's all the same. But for my young friend, for the love of all that is holy, please make up your own mind based on truth, based on the facts. Nobody's going to do that for you. There's nothing normal about what's going on in the world today. Nothing. But the facts are always constant. They're always there for you to make your own decision. So do I think people purposely stay on unemployment? Yes, I fully think 0.3% of the population of the nation you'll never get to come to work because they want to be on long-term unemployment or long-term welfare. That's what I believe. You feel better now? Did that solve your problem? You have all the employees you need now? You good? Blaming the world does not help, ladies and gentlemen. I can't make everybody win, but you can win. Just stop with it. Great question. Absolutely great question.
More questions?
They're like, I don't want to ask a question after that.
Yeah, I had a question with respect to the work from home trend and how that may or may not play into the war for talent and what your thoughts are on that.
So there's a certain amount of people, by the way, the people who love to work at home are the people who, they fit a certain personality type. Most of them are kind of INTJ, INFP personality types, which doesn't mean anything to you at the moment. But if you go to 16personalities.com, it will. By the way, it's free. I don't get anything from it. I'm not associated with them. I've been using 16personalities.com for 20 years for my job seekers. It makes me crazy. We don't teach it at high school and colleges, so that's why I plug it all the time. The answer to who am I, where do I belong in the world, and how do I get there exists for free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I want to make sure that my student friends know it. So why do you think people want to work from home? Why do you think they want to work from home? Can I give you an answer? Because for years we've been making them choose between their family and their job. And when people didn't have choices, they had to choose our job. So they would go home, they'd yell at their kids, they'd kick their dog, they'd sit on the couch, watch ESPN reruns, eat Cheetos, and complain about having to go to work on overtime on Saturday. For the first time in 40 years, employers feel freed. Employees feel freed. Now, that doesn't mean they have the power, right? There's an equalized power, but it's been too far one way for too long. By the way, I would never work. I worked from home for a year. I did presentations 2 a week virtually because of I hated it. So if you want people who don't want to work from home, it starts with understanding their personality type. What personality types do want to work from home, which ones don't, and then use your recruiting, write job ads with words and phrases that speak to people with only that personality type. Again, it's one of those things that, like think about your own world, right? I got it, it's on news, I got it, it's exciting, and in your own world, how many of your employees are saying, I won't come back to work and I have to work from home? In your world. So is that a real world problem for you? Or is it just something that we get excited about because somebody screams it from a television screen? I don't know. I don't know the answer. But if you want to recruit people that don't want to work from home, it starts by recruiting with people with an E, with extroverted people and feeler people. Why? This won't mean anything to you until you go to 16personalities.com. People who are extroverts die alone. Listen, there are experts in the room. My dad used to punish me. I come from a family of 10, super poor. I'm familiar with government cheese and hand-me-down underwear, right? So I come from that very place. I'm telling you, my dad would come home and he'd say, he would never raise his voice, he never raised his hand to me. He said, Chris, go to your room, no TV, no telephone, you can't talk to your 9 brothers and sisters. I'd rather he beat me with a whip. I will never want to work from home, ever. And if you recruit me, if you write job ads that recruit me, if you understand my personality type, you understand the values of an ESTJ, which is what my personality type is, you can write job ads that speak directly to me that will actually repel people who really would love to work at home, which are really more introverted thinking kind of people. So I know that's a really long question. I wish I could like give a little part of my brain and put it in your brain. You don't want everything that's in here. It's not a pretty place in here. But this, I'm telling you that personality typing is the absolute key for it's the root solution for everything that you're doing. Because if you can understand the personality type of people who already love your business, all you want to do is find more of them, right? So if we understand the personality type, the words and phrases, the values that they have, the hobbies that they have, the jobs that they have beforehand, what choices they make, what values they have, what products and services we understand them, we understand the fish, we can now go after them. But if you don't do that, then Joseph is just another face in the crowd. I hope he shows up for the interview. He probably ghosts us, right? You have way more control, but stop thinking that people should just wander into your place because you have money.
Good morning. I'm Socia from Cedar Community Talent Acquisition. Right now, there's a big debate among me and my colleagues. Is it favorable for organizations to display their wages online or not?
You want a direct answer? No. No. Ladies and gentlemen, if money, again, why are we so infatuated with by money? Again, put yourself back in that vanilla ice cream aisle. If you give my job seekers everything they need to compare Don's job with Mark's job, and they both look the same, and one has a higher wage, I would be an idiot to go to interview for Don's job, because you didn't give me anything else to consider. At this aluminum plant that I was at, by the way, the slogan we came up with is, the only thing better than our wages is our people. You can use that one, by the way. Why? Remember what I told you, that good advertising is about creating questions, not answering them. And so when somebody says the only thing better than our wages are our people, what's the way what does that cause that person to do? How can they find out what your wages are and who your people are? They have to interact with you. I'm trying to fill the top of the sales pipeline. If you're in sales, by the way, you understand the sales pipeline. Down here, it ends up with one sale, but up here we have to sell it with people who are interested in talking about your product or your service. You're giving my job seekers an easy out, because my job seekers, like it's the responsible decision to go to the place that pays a lot, but even many of you in this place have worked for places that paid you a lot but were horrible places to work, beat you to death, and made you choose between your job and your family. But you're not giving me that in the job ad, right? So what I'm saying is, if we say things about our culture, if we say things about, here's a gift for you, by the way. It's called changing lanes. Most people believe for the last 40 years you've been telling people not to come to your line of work unless they had experience in it. 2 gifts for you. Number 1, the gift of no experience preferred. No experience preferred. Not required. I see you're laughing. I'm telling you, when I did this in Green Bay, a person came to me a week later, and they're a nonprofit organization, clearly are not paying the most money, right? Nonprofit organization, they said, we started using no experience preferred, and it tripled the response rate. Why? Because no experience required is a terrible entry to anyone. What does no experience required actually say? Well, we really wanted experience, but since we couldn't find it, I guess we'll put up with you. That would be like me dating by saying, well, I really wanted to date somebody a little taller and a little thinner, but they wouldn't go out with me. You want to have a cup of coffee? It's the worst entry into a conversation ever. My people want to be chosen. And the second gift I'm going to give you is do this. Ask your employees what industries they left to come to work for you and be happy, and say in your job ad, our last 5 great hires came from a bakery, came from a farm, came from lawn care, came from fast food, came from hospitality. If that sounds like you, we'd love to talk to you. You've been telling my people to come for 40 years with your education and experience requirements, not to come unless you're already in the industry. And now you're all of a sudden suddenly saying, oh, no, we'll totally train them. No, absolutely not. You got to tell, you know that. You got to tell them. Last thing I'm going to tell you on this topic.
We got time for one more question.
I got you. So last thing on this topic. Let me give you a point of reference that you will never forget. Education experience requirements in a job ad. Where did they begin? Where did that idea start?
Great Depression.
1931. In 1931, right after the Great Depression, if we had a job and we advertised it, how many people applied? All of them. Please write this down. Education experience requirements were designed 90 years ago to keep people from applying. Let me say it again for you. 90 years ago, and we're using the same model today when we can't get anybody to come talk to us. Education experience requirements were designed to keep people away and not to apply because they had too many applicants. You've never started one relationship in your life by making a list of requirements in order for somebody to talk to you. Your salespeople don't walk in and say, well, we'd love to sell you our products and services, but first you have to show me your credit rating. You got to show me they have $2 million in liquid cash. You have to show me that. No, they don't. They ask for a conversation. Your salespeople go out and say, can I get 15 minutes of your time? That's where you are today with my job seekers. Can I get 15 minutes of your time to tell us a story? That's what your job ad's got to look like. One last question, please.
Go ahead.
Have you found any value in advertising channels of growth for future employees?
So growth is one of those things that is really, really important to people who are in Generation Z. Why? So the answer is yes. So we're so caught up. Remember, the job ads were mostly written by people who are baby boomers and the oldest Generation X people. The baby boomers in this room, we were 100% focused on security. Remember that, guys? Right? If I had gone to my dad in 1982 and said, you know, Dad, I'm going to quit my job. I don't really have another one lined up. I don't think they get me. I don't feel fulfilled. Now, young people, well, pay attention here. This is a moment for you. The people who are writing the job ads just laughed hysterically about the idea of growth. You got to be kidding me. My dad would have put his foot somewhere. I would have been able to taste leather. And he would have said, go back. You're just lucky to have a job, for goodness sakes. The people who are writing your job ads, that's where they're coming from. But what my people want, my 18 to 27-year-old people, what they're looking for is, I totally get you. I'll pull the plow for you today. But they've had unlimited access to the combined knowledge of the history of the world through Google in 15 seconds their entire life. They do not know a world without Google. So the last thing they want, by the way, if you want to know what millennials want, and Generation Z wants, by the way, I had 22,000 of them as the career services manager of the largest technical college in the state. What they want is the opportunity to solve problems creatively. They want freedom, but it's not the freedom you want. The freedom to solve problems creatively, and that in and of itself is a growth path, right? So here's a job ad for you. If you want to speak to Joseph, here's your job. Here's the title of your job ad. It's not entry-level sales accountant. It's not blah, 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 blah. It's, we have interesting problems we need you to solve. That speaks to Joseph, right? We have things we can't fix. We're looking for you to help fix them. That's a job ad. You don't sell your products and services by making a list of its attributes and then passing them out and asking people to buy them. You say, if you have this problem in your company, my product or service will solve this problem for you at this rate and will do it better than anybody else you can buy. Can we talk to you? That's how you sell your products and services. Sell your jobs the same way.
Thank you. Thank you. Please join me in a big round of applause.